Overnight tragedy in a New York City suburb. Police say someone shot and killed the son of a federal judge at their home and wounded the judge's husband. According to investigators, someone dressed as a FedEx driver arrived at Judge Esther Salas's home in New Jersey late Sunday. They say Salas's son, Daniel, a freshman in college, opened the door and was immediately shot and killed. The judge's husband, a criminal defense attorney, was then shot multiple times. Investigators say Judge Salas was in the basement at the time of the shooting. She's the first Latina to serve on the federal bench in New Jersey, presiding over several high-profile trials, including the one of former Real Housewives of New Jersey star Teresa Giudice. But officials overnight said a motive remained unclear. They say the judge has received threats in the past, but nothing recently. They're also looking into whether the shooting could be connected to her husband's work as a criminal defense attorney.
Tonight, an urgent manhunt in Florida after a triple murder. 3 close friends beaten and shot dead while on a fishing trip. The sheriff calling it a massacre. Authorities revealing grisly details, saying one of the victims managed to call his father for help after being shot. Around 10 p.m. Friday, 23-year-old Damian Tillman arrived to the remote area to go fishing with his friends. Officials saying as he was being murdered, 30-year-old Kevin Springfield and 27-year-old Brandon Rollins showed up and were shot. Rollins making that phone call. The sheriff saying the victim's father, in a panic, left his cell phone at home. And upon finding the gruesome scene and his son still clinging to life, leaving his son at the scene and driving to a convenience store to call 911. By the time help arrived, all 3 men were dead.
The banners draped over the balconies of this Brisbane hotel are a sign this isn't a regular hotel. Far from it. Around 100 asylum seekers from places like Iran, Iraq and Afghanistan have been detained here for up to 18 months. Today, hundreds of people have gathered on the street behind me to show their support for these men who were transferred from offshore detention centres on Nauru and Manus Island under a short-lived medical evacuation law. With the legislation controversially repealed in December, many detainees say they haven't received the specialist medical care they need and are being kept in the dark as they await their fate. It's no coincidence that protesters chose this particular day to gather. This Sunday marks 7 years since the Australian government further tightened its hardline immigration policy.
The U.S. could be looking to cut troops based in Korea, says the Wall Street Journal. While Washington said it routinely conducts review of global troop deployment, the U.S. paper says the option to reduce the over 28,000 soldiers in Korea was presented to the Trump administration in March. The report comes as Seoul and Washington are struggling to conclude a new agreement on how much South Korea will contribute to the upkeep of the American troops. The U.S. has rejected Seoul's offer of a 13% increase in costs, and some say is demanding $5 billion for this year on the grounds that South Korea is a wealthy country.
Right now we are waiting for 2 updates, one from police on what might have caused this bus crash and another, of course, on those who survived it and their conditions, because the last we heard was that of those 27 people who were on board yesterday, 3 did tragically die. The other 24 all injured, all taken to hospital, and 14 of them have life-threatening injuries. Now, while we wait for that update, some details we do know: this bus having rolled off a very steep gravel road about 1 p.m. It's a road up to the glacier at the ice field there at Jasper National Park. It's standard for the bus to go up there, an off-road bus, large tyres so it can take people onto the ice there to view it.
An emotional and rambling address from Rappertoon's presidential candidate Kanye West.
Politics, America, strong, mighty, your Kanye West can free us. Amen. The only thing that can free us is by
a bulletproof vest with the numbers 2020 shaved into the back of his head, West delivered his first campaign address in a chaotic fashion, touching on religion, homelessness and abortion, bringing him to tears. Appearing in a conference hall in Charleston, South Carolina, the rapper took to the stage without a microphone, repeatedly asking the rowdy crowd for quiet, but assuring the potential voters he isn't trying to silence them.
Now, amidst China's aggression, America's largest warship is likely to conduct naval exercises with the Indian Navy. The USS Nimitz, which happens to be the world's largest warship, is likely to have an exercise with the Indian Navy off the coast of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Nimitz is already present in the Indian Ocean and came into the ocean via the Malacca Strait. The strait is a narrow stretch between Malaysia and Indonesia, which is a crucial global choke point, as considerable global oil flows from it to the rest of Asia, including to China. The likely India-US exercises could happen on the lines of the exercise that India had with the Japanese naval forces at the end of June.
The construction for Pyongyang General Hospital began in March and was scheduled for completion by October 10th, the 75th anniversary of Workers' Party of Korea. But it looks nowhere near done, with several floors still yet to go up. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un pointed out problems in the budget management during his visit to the hospital construction site. North Korea's state media, Korean Central News Agency, reported Monday that Kim said the team in charge of coordinating the construction had been careless in managing the budget, adding that the use of materials and equipment is different to what the Workers' Party of Korea had mapped out. The North Korean leader scolded the team for burdening its people by encouraging all kinds of assistance. Experts say such criticism by Kim Jong-un could signal that North Korea is experiencing economic hardship.
Main engine start.
Main engine ignition.
SRB 点火。
SRB ignition and liftoff.
H2A ロケット42号機は2020年1月20日午前6時58分14秒に種子島宇宙センターから打ち上げられました。
We have a liftoff with H2A vehicle number 42 from 14 a.m. on July 20, 2020 Japanese Standard Time.
打ち上げ以降、ロケットの管制は西延発射管制塔から竹崎総合司令塔に引き継がれています。
Following liftoff, the operation control of the launch vehicle has been switched from the blockhouse to the launch control center.
A visit to a Montreal Tim Hortons turned ugly when police officers had to wrestle a man to the ground after he refused to wear a mask. A new mandatory mask mandate in Quebec means shop owners must ensure customers wear one or face fines.
We're of course not asking merchants to physically get into a scuffle with someone who wouldn't comply. So in that case, they called the police to ask for the person to be expelled.
There were several anti-mask protests across the country this weekend as the debate continues over whether masks should be mandatory.
You telling me that you actually lied to us back in April, but now I'm supposed to believe you? It's a joke.
We should be allowed to choose what we want to do with our bodies.
Although health officials did not promote general mask use early in the pandemic, things have changed. Scientists believe that wearing masks can help curb the spread of COVID-19.